If I'm not able to learn the way you teach me the way that I can learn. Every child learns differently at a different pace. This little video is going to very quickly run through a few basics about students who learn differently, students who may need some kind of guidance or help. Very quickly, it tries to address what happens if you get that phone call from school that throws you into a tizzy. The subject matter and this whole field is so vast that it's impossible to make one short video and try to cover all the important basics. So I've just tried to run through a few important matters. When it comes to a student who's struggling, who's not performing, or it's not just about the student, the marks, the subject. There's a lot more that comes into play. A lot of psychosocial factors come into play. Parental angst. The family gets worried. The child's friends circle, your own friend circle, society, the difficulties of the mainstream teacher who may be wanting to help but is not sure what to do. The child himself who's kind of struggling to learn maybe and at the same time is facing, a stressful environment at home and also, maybe ridiculed by his classmates or is feeling bad because, he's not doing well at school. So as you can see, there's a lot of ground to cover. Do watch this video, and if you'd like to know more, please feel free to connect. Connect details are there in the link. Inclusion, special needs, integration, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, attention deficit disorder. So many terms. It can get mind-boggling, right? It can get very confusing also. I've already done a small video on inclusion, and the link for that is there also in this video. Many remember Amir Khan's movie Tare Zameen Par, which brought special education, special needs, dyslexia into the forefront. People began to talk about it. People began to be aware about it, right? But even today, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of angst about special needs. We talk about special needs groups, we talk about mainstream groups, but as everyone who's in meaningful education knows, there's only one group, children. Everything else is just a matter of logistics, right? So sometimes what happens if your child is not performing at the class average or has been, the teacher calls and says that I need to have a chat with you because, he's not copying from the board. He's not able to keep pace. He's not doing his maths properly. He's not sitting and attending to the task. He's not listening to us, right? And with that one phone call or with that one meeting, panic sets in, right? And with that panic comes angst, tears, anxiety. And also sometimes we take that out on the child. Why don't you sit? Why don't you listen to the teacher? Why aren't you copying from the board? And it becomes a very, very stressful home environment also. In the class, probably the child is struggling for whatever reasons. And at home also now, the child is facing a stress-filled environment. So it's a double whammy. So in case you get this call, in case there's a meeting, what can you as a parent do? Stay calm first. Stay calm. Speak up for your child. And assure the teacher that you're all on the same page, that you are hearing what she's saying, that you understand there appears to be a disconnect somewhere, that the child may not be performing according to the average or the expectations. So first off, what we need to understand is the school, the teacher, the child, and the family are all on the same page. They're all in a circle, and at the center of the circle is the child. It's not that they are on two sides of, a divide. And then come home and try to figure out, look at the child's notebooks, look at the child's work, and try to understand where the difficulty could be. Is he bored? Is the child taking more time to write? Is the child having difficulty paying attention to a series of instructions? If you just give him 2 or 3 instructions, he's able to follow. But if it's a series, one after the other, he's not able to keep pace. Is it that certain chapters, are not of his interest, are difficult for him? Is it that he's not able to write fast? Is it that he remembers well, but he's not able to translate that information into written work? So try to understand that and keep the teacher, and the school counselor, if possible, in the loop. If needed, seek out a professional assessment. There are assessment centers and assessment professionals across the country whom you can go to, and they will assess the child and be able to give you an understanding of what the challenge is. Is it attention deficit? Is it dyslexia? Is it generalized learning difficulties? Right? Once we have that, it becomes a lot easier, because once you know where the difficulty is, it's so much easier then to find a solution. For instance, once you know that you've cooked something and you know that there's too much salt or there's too less salt, then you're able to understand how exactly to correct that. So very similarly, if needed, seek out extra reinforcement classes or remediation classes. If needed, seek out the special needs department in the school, or a special needs educator outside, and see what kind of extra reinforcement would help the student. Quite often you're able to do it yourself. Maybe the child just needs that chapter explained to him again. Maybe the child just needs someone to help him structure the answer properly. There are lots of games that you can add on at home, from memory games to sequencing games to visual perception worksheets. There's so much that you can do. And so I've just tried to list out very, very briefly what happens when you receive that first phone call. Instead of panicking, what is it that you can do? If you'd like to know a little more, feel free to connect. Connect details are all there in the link. Thank you. Take care.